Garfield with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Ann, could we have a roll call, please?
Schmuckel.
Here.
Korn.
Here.
Lapp.
Here.
L. McManus.
Here.
McCumber.
Here.
J. McManus.
Here.
And it's noted that Augustinelli is absent and excused.
Thank you. First item on our agenda this evening is public comment. And we have public comment at the beginning and at the end of each meeting. And I know we have at least one or two public hearings this evening. So I would suggest if your comments are have to do with one of those public hearings, you might consider waiting until then to bring it up. But otherwise, we'll go ahead and open up the first public comment at this point in time. And as often the case, nobody's beating their way to the microphone, so we'll go ahead and close public comment, take it to review and approval of the agenda. And if anybody has any conflicts of interest, now would be the time to state those.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Well, there's something I'd like removed from the
later.
consent calendar, but
That's
that's...
Consent calendar
no,
is
It's
okay.
later.
All right.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and supported to approve the agenda as presented. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Consent calendar.
The purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with in one board motion without discussion. Any member of the board, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed therefrom and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such request will be automatically respected. If any item is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted in parentheses on the agenda is approved by a single board action adopting the consent calendar. We have minutes, December 9th, 2025, regular meeting, recommend approval. Bills from the general fund, $421,775.64, recommend approval. Consideration of Smith Brothers rezoning requests, introduction and set public hearing for January 13th, 2026, recommend approval. Consideration of an amendment to the zoning ordinance for mixed-use neighborhood, introduction and set public hearing for January 13th, 2026, recommend approval. Consideration of proposed workforce housing pilot ordinance 82, introduction and set public hearing for January 13th, 2026, recommend approval. Consideration of budget amendment covering expenses incurred with the Barney Road project, resolution 2025-57T, recommend approval. And consideration of budget amendment covering attorney/benefit expenses, resolution 2025-58T, recommend approval.
Thank you. Is there any item anybody on the board would like to have removed and placed elsewhere on the agenda?
Yes, I'd like item E tabled for discussion.
Thank you. We'll move that to item 4A. Anything else anybody on the board would like to have removed? All right, is there anything anybody, staff would like to have removed? Chris? Any member of the public would like to have anything removed and placed elsewhere on the agenda? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
I would make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented with the exception of item E.
Support.
Motion made, supported to accept and adopt the consent calendar as presented with item E removed. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, and could we have a roll call on that, please?
Korn.
Yes.
Schmuckel.
Yes.
McCumber.
Yes.
Lapp.
Yes.
L. McManus.
Yes.
J. McManus.
Yes. Okay, thank you. All right, item 4A, which is item E off the consent calendar. Lori, what would you like to discuss?
Well, workforce housing is incredibly important to every business where we are. It's number one or number two on every business owner's needs for people and housing for people who actually work. So I think before moving forward quickly, I think we need to look at what we're actually incentivizing to make sure that we're incentivizing the right type of housing and doing it in a thoughtful way.
Okay. All right, so, yeah, I think that, I don't disagree with that. I think we probably some some policies, procedures. It's fairly new. It seems to be more frequent. So are you suggesting we study it and bring it back at a future meeting?
Yes.
So I guess that I'm asking you, you're actually requesting that we table this tonight and deal with it in the future. Okay.
Correct. I just want to make sure we're incentivizing the right things.
Right. Okay. No, that's fair. Any questions on that or any comments about that? If not, maybe, Laura, you might make a motion to table this item till a future meeting.
I make a motion, we table item E, consideration of proposed workforce housing pilot ordinance 82 for a future meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and supported to table item E off the consent calendar. The only comment I'd make is maybe we can put together a group with, I would think that John would probably should be involved in that, Polly, Chris and I, and maybe, Chuck, you probably have some
A little bit, yeah.
little experience with pilots, and maybe work toward, at least to educate ourselves more on this one, and then maybe even work on toward a policy that because this is probably won't be the last one that comes to us. So,
Probably not.
okay, sounds good. All right, any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I don't see any correspondence, so we'll move on to reports. I do not see a county commissioner here this evening, so we'll move on to MMR.
Good evening. Merry Christmas.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
Holidays, New Year's, and all that to everybody. Stats were in way ahead of time this month. We're getting on track now, so that's a good thing. There was one little typo in there I caught just tonight when I had them printed up, but that would be corrected. Nothing off the number part, just the titling. As you can see, last month, 373 for the month. Most of those units, or most of those calls were handled by the Grand Traverse 11 and 12 unit. We did get some support from Grand Traverse 1 and 2 out of the city, which helped back up when it gets super, super busy out there, as the traffic tonight was horrendous coming in, which I'm sure you all know. Just this week, we had our EMT class graduate, 12 new EMTs. We're going to be able to retain a few of them through our scholarship program, which means that we paid for them to actually go to school and their schooling. And then on the flip side, we get to keep them for a couple years afterwards. If not, then they have to pay for that out of their pocket. So it helps us get them trained and up to par, and hopefully before they get recruited by fire departments or police departments, we get to get some use out of them. We did have our paramedics today. Their final exam was today, which allows them, if they pass, to go out and do their externship. So they'll start their externships. The 3 that we have locally that they passed, and they're going to get ready to start riding in the truck and learning on the field type stuff, which is good for us as well. That's a hybrid class. That's the first one that we've done where we get them through in 44 weeks instead of the year and a half. But they really, really have to work hard, and we give them some time off to do that, and it seems to be paying off. We'll be covering the cherry drop this year, provide medical support with Traverse City PD downtown. So hopefully that's a good, eventful evening. Obviously, winter's here, lots of falls, lots of crashes. People forget how to drive when that first snowfall comes, but by next month we should all be experienced and good to go again. The weather does cause us a little longer delays and some issues when we get on scene, so some of those response times may drop a little bit over this month. Next month, I plan to have all the yearly totals with some more statistics to go with that, and kind of explain a real short synopsis on how things are going. But other than that, that's it, unless anyone has any questions for me.
Any question?
No? I don't want to be rude, but I have to be at 2 spots at one time, one person tonight, so I need to go like 15 minutes ago. So I appreciate it. Everybody have a safe holiday season. We'll see you next month.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you. Chris, manager's report.
I'm gonna let you talk about the water discussion. I met with the design engineer related to Frankie Road's reconstruction as it related to the sidewalk that we've talked about at previous meetings. Just want to make sure we're on the same page and we collaborate with them. So I had that last week. Meeting with TCAPS after the first of the year and other stakeholders on a Safe Routes to School project, and they're submitting for a grant in February. So there was discussion on connecting Burger King area on 31 to Frankie Road and potentially using the north side of Myers parking lot for a sidewalk. And that will equate into the conversation with TCAPs. We're going to discuss that and try to connect some dots that, or connect sections of sidewalk that may be missing, and then seek a grant to cover those costs. And then we had a meeting with the county staff regarding Project Alpha on the Franier. Right now, they just want to coordinate efforts with our building department. So it was a virtual meeting. We're scheduling a in-person one after the first of the year. And we'll meet with those folks and kind of work with them on that project. So, and that is all I have, unless anybody has questions.
No question. All right, thanks, Chris. Supervisor's report, just a couple things to note. Chris mentioned the water discussions. We've been working with our lawyer in Grand Rapids on, we're real close to having that finalized, and then once we get that done, we'll actually bring it to the board for your recommendation. That has to do with taking over the district in the commons area for water. So we're real getting close on that. The city's already approved it in form, and they do a little different down there. They approve it, and then let the staff work out the details, where we generally get the details worked out and then bring it in for your approval. So that's why they've already approved it, but we don't have the actual final document done, but we expect that real soon. Hopefully in January, maybe we get that in and get that approved. So the only other thing is there's a lot of stuff going on in BPW from a committee and a standpoint. So we're making a lot of looking at the committees because the biggest one would be like Finance Committee. Finance Committee consists of all 5 township supervisors. Well, now that we made the BPW board 9 instead of 11, if we have a finance meeting, it's a quorum of the board. So we're having to dual post that. So we're really looking at the possibility of maybe just folding all the finance stuff into the regular board, just eliminating the finance committee and doing it all at the BPW board level. So a lot of discussion about that. So we had a good study session and started looking at things like that. So that's about it. So not much else right now, and just January's filling up with a whole lot of stuff going on in January. Chris and I were looking at calendars today, and there aren't very many open days, it doesn't seem like. So that's all I have. Any questions for me? Hearing none, I don't see anything under unfinished business. We'll move on to item 8A, and this is a public hearing, consideration of the Olson property rezoning request, resolution 2025-56-T. It just starts on page 49 of your packet. John, I don't know if you want to kick that off.
Good evening, John Syke, Planning Director. Presented to the board this evening is a rezoning request from the Olson Foundation. This is for a parcel of land that they have at the northwest corner of Rennie School Road and US 31. They have approximately 171 acres. They're looking, they've subdivided the property into 4 parcels that will experience future land divisions in the future, but at this point they're at 4 parcels, which they're requesting to have one be multifamily residential. 2 segments are going to be general industrial, and then a 4th part, it will be general commercial. So that's what the request is. That will also include some road extensions. They're looking at extending Blue Star across 31 to the west side, and then there will be a north-south roadway connection between Rennie School and Meadow Lane to the north, where Blue Star will intersect with that north-south road. So this was an application that was reviewed by the Planning Commission. Planning Commission did hold a public hearing on this, and see, that was back on October 8th. They did directed staff to prepare findings of fact, so that findings of fact was adopted and approved by the Township Planning Commission and recommended approval to the board. So this is for your consideration. The projects that they're looking to do will be done in phases. So we did outline kind of the 4 main phases that are part of the development of this particular site.
Okay, thanks, John. All right, at this point in time, we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing, excuse me. If anybody has any questions or comments they'd like to make about this, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and let us know what your questions are, what you have to say. Doesn't look like we have anybody coming forward at this point in time to talk about this. Go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back to the board. In your packet, I believe on page 58 are some recommended motions if you're interested in moving forward with this recommendation.
I make a motion that the Planning Commission's recommendations, finding of facts for application Z-2025-01, as provided in PD Report 2025-148, informing part of this motion be approved.
Support.
Motion made and supported that the findings of fact for this project be approved. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I make a motion that application Z-2025-01 submitted by the Olson Foundation to rezone parcels 05-032-001-07, 05-302-001-08, 032-001-09, and 05-302-001-06, located at the northwest corner of Rennie School Road and North US 31 South, from its current configured zoning of C-G General Commercial and R-3 Multifamily Residential to the new configuration of R-3 Multifamily Residential, I-G General Industrial, and C-G General Commercial in accordance with a proposed development plan and constituting amendment number 44 of the Garfield Township Ordinance number 68 be approved based on the adopted findings and facts and for the reasons set forth in PD Report 2025-148.
Support.
Okay, motion made and supported to recommend the rezoning as stated. I'm not going to reread the whole thing. Planning Department Road 2025-148 as read. Any questions or further discussion on that motion? All right, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I make a motion that Resolution 2025-56-T to adopt amendment number 44 to the Garfield Township Ordinance number 68 to rezone parcels 05-032-001-07, 05-032-001-08, 05-032-001-09, and 05-032-001-06, located at the northwest corner of Rennie School Road and US 31 South, from its current configuration zoning of C-G General Commercial and R-3 Multifamily Residential, to the new configuration of R-3 Multifamily Residential, I-G General Industrial, and C-G General Commercial in accordance with the proposed development plan be adopted.
Support.
Motion made and supported to adopt a resolution to adopt the map amendment as read. Any further discussion on that motion? All right, being a resolution, Nan, can we have a roll call on that, please?
Schmuckel.
Yes.
Lapp.
Yes.
McCumber.
Yes.
Al McManus.
Yes.
Corn.
Yes.
Jay McManus.
Yes. Okay. Moving on. Item 8B, consideration of Olson property road names. I don't know if there's any, it's in our packet, but John, go ahead and, you want to talk to it or whatever?
So this, as the Olson Foundation is developing this site, they're, as I mentioned previously, creating some new roads. There's the north-south road. There's an east-west road, which is an extension of Blue Star, but then there's also a loop street off the north-south drive that will be also included in those. So they've received approval from the County Equalization Department and they are seeking approval from the Township Board. These are all names that are, they're not duplicates or anything, and they meet the county's standards and requirements for those. My only comment is that the north-south road, if you go, it's going to connect to Stadium Drive, which is on the south side of Rennie School, and that's a county road as it is. So it's going to be where Stadium Drive, the way it's proposed, Stadium Drive would come up to Rennie School, and then you would have Olson Boulevard go to the north. Same thing with Blue Star, even though it would be extended, they're proposing in that be called Buffalo Drive. I'm just, there would be a change once you cross the street into a different name. So I don't know if that's something, I was thinking that, would probably provide easier wayfinding and less confusion if it was continued across. But that's the only thought I have on that.
All right. Okay, this is just for our consideration of approval. I was just glad to hear they got it cleared with the equalization, because I know we had another issue with a recent development where we had to go back and change road names, so we don't want to deal with that again. I see John's point, but there's also a lot of other areas where you cross a road and the road changes names, so I don't get too hung up on it, but.
Is there any reason why they want it that way?
I don't know. Other than they're paying for the road, they're putting the road in and paying for it, So, other than that, I don't know. Denise? So, I would entertain a motion if anybody would like to make one, or have any other questions for John. We could go back and bring John back up if we want.
I would make a motion to accept the proposed names as approved by the county.
Support.
Motion made, supported to approve the road names as proposed by the Olson Foundation and as approved by the county equalization. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Bill Crane, Crane Engineering, on behalf of the Olson Foundation. Thanks for allowing us to move forward with our rezoning, and also with all the help from the staff. It was a long process, but we got through it, and we're looking forward to kind of extending continuing our project, and you'll probably see us again with the next step as we get into the development itself. So thank you so much, and happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Same to you.
All right. Moving on, item 8C, consideration of the federal procurement policy. Is you again, John? You might pick a chair that's closer to the podium. It might be quicker for you. So.
It's getting his steps in.
My last item here. So as you recall, back earlier this fall, there was a application made in cooperation with the Housing Commission for their Flats at Carriage Commons project, applying for a community development block grant to do some infrastructure improvements. Would also benefit the Habitat for Humanity project that's located there that will be happening in the future. So as part of that grant application process, it's a community development block grant, so it has to meet, there's a lot of HUD requirements and so forth that have to be adhered to. And so myself, along with the Housing Commission and their developer, have been working with MISTA we've had to make some adjustments to the application just to meet some of the requirements that are part of that block grant application. One of the requirements is for a procurement process or procurement policy that is in line with what HUD requires in terms of community development block grants. So instead of amending the township's procurement policy, we thought it would be better just to create one separate that is for federal grants. So this follows the uniform administrative requirements for federal awards in terms of those requirements. So this is a lot of the standards taken right out of the federal code so that we meet their policy requirements. I've had forwarded this to MISTA and have not heard back from them, but did want to get this in front of you for your consideration so that we can kind of move forward. There are a few items, but we're hoping that we should have that grant approved by MISTA here within the coming weeks.
I know this one's like a boomerang, keeps coming back every time we do
Yes.
fix something. It seems like they come up with something else to fix, but it'd be a nice grant to get for that habitat project. So, and so this is just a policy we need to adopt in order to conform with that grant application. So,
I make a motion that the federal grant procurement, policy as attached to the PD report 2025-150 be approved.
Support.
motion made and supported to approve the federal procurement policy as presented this evening. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
John.
Thanks, Jen.
Okay, consideration of Restorative Lake Sciences Professional Aquatic Consulting Services contract for Silver Lake. So Eurasian milfoil contracts. So Chris, I don't know if you have any comments about that.
Yeah, we've been talking about this over the course of months when we established the milfoil district. RLS is the company that is the consultant that manages the treatment company, oversees the whole treatment of the lake. Typically, we've contracted annually. In this particular agreement, we requested that the company consider a 5-year term that coincides with the district. It made a lot of sense. Also, it keeps the cost low, and also we added a termination clause. Because it's so lengthy, if we feel like we want to get out of the contract, there's a way to do that in writing with a 60-day notice. So that was not in a previous contract. Also spent a good amount of time with Supervisor Blonshine and the Silver Lake Association, who reviewed this as well. We collaborated on it, on the language changes, and they all agree with it in its current form. So at this point, I would just like the board to consider making a motion to approve the supervisor to sign it.
All right, thanks, Chris. Any questions about this? It's just, this has been going on for a long time, and it's been a very successful program controlling the Eurasian milfoil. So I think it's a good way to approach it.
Yeah, I think we've been very happy with PLM. They've reduced the cost over the years, which is
Yeah.
always a plus. So I would make a motion to
Authorize me.
authorize the supervisor to sign the contract.
Support.
Motion made and supported to authorize the supervisor to sign the contracts with PLM for the aquatic management. Any further
It
discussion?
should be
on that?
RLS.
I'm sorry, what's that?
It should be RLS,
This is
the first one, right?
I'm sorry, RLS. I was one too far. RLS, I was in the next one. RLS, I'm sorry. Any further discussion on that motion? All right, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now, consideration of the PLM 2026 management agreement for Silver Lake. I got ahead of myself, so.
Okay. PLM is the actual treatment company. We've contracted annually. We'd like to consider contracting for a 3-year period of time where it keeps the cost down, when you do a multi-year contract. So that made a lot of sense. And that will expire after 3 years, and we go out for bids for a new treatment company at that time. They've done a great job, and also in cooperation or collaboration with Supervisor Blonshine and Silver Lake Association, they collaborate on this and agree with its form. So again, just asking the board, consider a motion to give the supervisor permission to sign it.
I make a motion that we allow the supervisor to sign it.
I'll second that.
Motion made and supported to approve my supervisor to sign the contract with PLM for lake management. Just for the record state, this is all handled through a special assessment district with the people around Silver Lake. So this isn't a general cost to the township, only the property owners on Silver Lake. But they've been very satisfied and more than willing to fund this project over the years. So, any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, consideration of Township's 2026 liability insurance plan. Laney, are you handling that one, or is it?
It's the PAR plan that we've used for years. It's the one that insures townships and municipalities in the state of Michigan. It did go up a little bit because we did have a lot of claims the last few years. A lot of claims that we hadn't had him.
We also added the second park and some park equipment, and some
Yes,
other
the
things
second
as well.
park
I
and-
went through, reviewed it, and I saw the new parks are listed in there and things as well, so.
I just had one question. We don't have cyber liability on there. Is that somewhere else, or we just don't have cyber liability insurance?
They
or-
added cyber liability at one point, so I'll check on that and get back with you on that.
It's a hot button these days, so.
No kidding.
So you're looking for a motion for the, approve the $31,415, is that what you're looking for? Anybody?
I will make a motion to approve the contract with the Michigan Township Participating Plan.
I support it.
Motion made and supported to approve the contract with Michigan Power Plant in the amount of $31,415. Do we need a roll on that? Ann, can we have a roll call, please?
Corn.
Yes.
Schmuckel.
Yes.
Lapp.
Yes.
McCumber.
Yes.
L. McManus.
Yes.
J. McManus.
Yes. Okay. All right. Next item is our second public comment. So we have, like I said earlier, we have public comment at the beginning and end of each meeting. So this is your last chance this evening to come up and let us know what you're here to have to say. Please state your name and address for the record, please, as well.
Karen Alpers, 8 East Silver Lake Road, Traverse City.
Okay.
So at the last meeting I attended for some property owner for my parents, representing my parents. So the last meeting I was at, 4 different individuals asked, what's the barrier going to be between private land and construction? And I wondered when that discussion is going to happen.
For the Olson property, is it for the Olson
Yeah.
property there on, right, that
Yeah.
they were just talking about? What's the barrier?
Okay. I guess what between,
The property owners that are here now and then the new construction going in, is there going to be a barrier there? Is that
Yeah.
what you're asking?
Yeah.
okay. Well, we don't normally interact at public comment, but those requests would probably be made during each development. We need to bring a site plan to the planning commission. And those site plans, when those site plans are reviewed and approved, those requests, you'd be notified about those site plan developments as we go through those. So each individual development as it goes in would have as part of that site plan review, those requests could be made at that point in time.
Okay.
Blanketly, there's nothing that's going to be put in there that says this will happen for the whole development. It would be done individually as those developments go in.
Okay.
And is that done at the planning commission?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Those site plan reviews are generally done at the planning commission meetings,
Okay.
if that makes sense. I'm not trying to.
It doesn't, but I'll just
Okay.
wait for my next
Well,
notice over here.
Another option is we come in and talk to John, John left, but John's in our planning department Monday through Thursday, generally, unless he's off, and really talk to him about that and let him know any specific concerns you might have, because he would be the one that would be formulating those site plans and working them as well.
Okay, that's helpful, because I know it was said that we will discuss it further.
Right,
I just didn't know when that was going to be.
right. And that's when that would happen, is as the site plans would be worked.
It's more of an
into-
individual discussion.
Right. Mhm.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, same to you.
Any other questions or comments? Oh, I thought Greg was coming up to talk. I was going to give him the microphone, so, all right. Well, nobody else is coming forward. We'll go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to the board. Is there any other business to come before the board? Chris?
So as far as a committee to review the workforce pilot ordinance, I think you should probably have a formal motion, I believe would be the proper way to do it, to form the committee and
Okay.
have the board approve it. So if you want to have the committee start working on it before our next meeting, it should probably be done now, or it can wait till January 13th if you want that conversation to occur after.
I would suggest that we don't do a quorum of this board, so no more than 3 from this board, but I would suggest, I'd like to be part of it, yourself,
Yeah.
Polly, and John. And then, I don't know, Lori brought it up, I don't know if you want to be part of it.
Sure, yes.
you know, and Chuck's got a lot of experience, so I mean, that's a lot of people, but if he's willing and available, so.
We need a
Do that.
motion on that?
Yeah, why don't we have one? So it'd be the supervisor, Chuck, Lori, Chris, and then we'd include staff of John and Polly, because they're gonna have a lot of
I
things.
make that motion.
Okay, motion made. Any support for that motion?
I'll support that.
A motion made and supported to form an ad hoc committee to study the pilot programs consisting of the supervisor, trustee Korn, trustee Lapp, township manager, township assessor, and planning director. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Can you set something up? Get
I
with
will.
everybody, check with schedules, let's get something set up.
Sounds good.
All right. Now, not because it's probably the last thing between us and Christmas break, but that was one of the shortest meetings we've had in a long time, so if there's nothing else come before the board, we're adjourned.
Merry Christmas.
Christmas, everybody.